free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatters1892@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What time is that coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It is Talk of the Toon. My voice is slowly returning. Comical last night with so many bad voices, but we're getting there slowly but surely. This cold isn't helping either. Pretty man flu kicked in as well, which is abysmal, but delighted to welcome Joe. Joe Allen, how are you, mate?
Very, very good, Steve. How are you? I mean, your good looks hasn't been affected, so don't worry about your voice. I'll get you through it.
Cheers, kid. Yeah, good to see you. Wow, what a weekend, mate. What a weekend. You know what? It's been an emotional couple of days, but it's been an exciting couple of days. A lot of people not knowing what to do, what to say, because, you know, we've never been in this position before. Most of us watching the match back 2 or 3 times just to make sure it happened. But what was your views of the game, Joe?
Well, like you say, I've run out of superlatives, Steve. You know, we were tremendous. I mean, we touched on it last week and said, like, you know, I thought it was going to be an unchanged team. The only possibility would have been the goalkeeper, because you just don't change a winning team, you know, when they're getting that result at West Ham, you know, to take that momentum in. And it was Eddie's decision to play the goalkeeper, and that's the end of that, you know. And at the end of the day, Eddie makes the decisions, and whoever plays in black and white, we're gonna shout them on anyway. And that was done brilliantly, because, you know, when you look at the bench, there wasn't really much. I mean, the 2 lads that were not available, they would have played, Lewis Hall and Anthony Gordon, you know, they would have played. So when you look at the bench and what would you make the team better with what we had, what are the changes? And to be honest, that was in my eyes the best side. And it was proven, not only like because the display, I mean, we talked about, it's not about Liverpool. Everybody keeps talking about Liverpool. And if you let them play, they will play. That's why they're top of the league, you know. But what we did was we come out and that game that we had at Anfield, where the match was lost pretty quickly in the 90 minutes, was lost in midfield. At the weekend, I thought everybody was superb, but the midfield were absolutely unbelievable. And when them three play like that, I mean, I'm talking about two Sambas and a Rossoneri. I mean, Jesus. I think, you know, they're just a brilliant foil for each other, you know, that the way they complement each other. And they know that they've got a hiding at Liverpool, but they certainly give them a hiding. And I will say one thing. It was superb to see the way that Arnie Slot and all the Liverpool connections, I mean, with dignity, took the defeat. They admitted that we were the better team, outrageously the better team. I mean, Jesus, I even like Jamie Carragher for 30 seconds. Jamie Carragher is saying that their team got battered, and we did batter them. I mean, the last 10 minutes, mate, I've got to tell you the truth. I've never done anything like this in my life. I'm in the house watching it. I'm going to the kitchen and I'm washing dishes and looking at the match through the mirror in the lounge. And then it gets to Liverpool scoring and the added on time. And I open the back door. I'm outside. I'm picking weeds off the path, getting my fingers all mucky, full of clots and all sorts, because it'll piddle down. And I'm waiting for the screams. I mean, I'm a coffin dodger and I live with a few coffin dodgers around here. And the usual screams, not them screams from number 66, which is them screams that you didn't want to hear when she gets amorous, but them screams of joy of like the match was finished. When I heard the first shout of "get in," I ran back in, put the volume off mute, and just saw what happened in front of my eyes. And it was great for the players and the staff, Steve, right? But really, for me, what you talk about emotional, I was in bits, mate. I really was. I'm tingling when I'm talking about it now, thinking about it. But where I got the emotion from, I was looking at the fans. I was looking at the crowd. And every time you come onto the crowd, you've got kids to pensioners in tears, floods of tears. And if that didn't get you, by the way, I mean, it was just pure joy, you know. And the fact that realization, me as a supporter, I've never seen a win for 50 years, you know. And like I was 2 when we won the first cup. And I mean, it was funny because Monday afternoon I was wearing me good black trousers and me white top because I had to go to the dark side on an appointment. And I just thought, you know what, I would love to get recognised just now. And it took about 5 minutes when I got off the train. And I got off the train and the first one said, you haven't got to rub it in, you Geordie. And I went, well, you just went on about, I mean, I've gone on at times, but you've been gone on for 50. I mean, it was only a few years before us when you won in 1973. And the good news is, though, it's not going to take another 50 years to win a domestic trophy, because what I saw at Wembley Stadium, we have beaten, right, the top 4 in the Premier League. We must have had the hardest route to any cup final to win a trophy, because the top 4 of all the ones that we had encountered, you've been to every game, Steve, you know, and I just want to talk just 2 seconds before you come in, and to beat them on merit with that run. But the other thing was the supporters at the ground, but also yourself, right? You're one of a few members that are a season ticket holder, right? And I know Newcastle United supporters is worldwide, and I'm absolutely thrilled. As a supporter, I am. But you know what? The ones that buy the season tickets, the ones that gone into the corporate, right? They're still paying absolute fortunes to be there at the football club. There's waiting lists everywhere to get tickets. And the away supporters, I mean, you think about the away supporters at West Ham on the Monday, just over a week ago. You know, my mate Knocker, right? He goes to the new ground at West Ham. He gets home at about 3:30, 4:45, he was saying. And, you know, rightly so, the players are given a standing ovation and they're waiting. None of the crowd are leaving. They're all there, them away supporters that are getting home at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And Knocker had to be up on the railways at 7:15 for a 7 o'clock start. And I mean, there's no chance of getting to a surgery. But the difference being, you know, them fans yourself included, who've been to every match in this cup run. That must be brilliant. And that's why I don't get any resentment towards our fans that got to Wembley, because I believe the season ticket holders and the ones that went to all the matches, they should come first to get that chance. Because I know we've all been supporters for years and years, and I've been to umpteen away matches. But the supporters that deserved it, that were there, the ones that go to away games, you know, and we all, I mean, I think you said there was loads of supporters there that didn't have tickets, that were just there for the occasion. And I mean, you'll know better than that. I've waffled on for a little bit there. What was the atmosphere like, mate, for you?
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere was good from start to finish. I mean, we didn't go to Covent Garden. We went to Leicester Square. Went to a few bars around there. Went to Spice of Life. We went to the Porcupine and the Cambridge, and it was full of Newcastle fans. But you know, you could get served, and it was a good atmosphere. Pre-match, we went down to Baker Street. We went to the Waterstones on Baker Street, opposite the Globe. The Metropole, which was great as well. Good atmosphere in there, full of Newcastle fans. You're a Liverpool fan, and of course, and we went back there after the game. But good-hearted. Well, you know, we were well received down there. Everybody well behaved. 69 arrests in total. You know, when you think about it, 88,000 people in and around Wembley Stadium on the day. You're going to get a lot of people arrested for fraudulent activity with tickets. So obviously there was tickets purchased which were not tickets. People trying to tailgate their way into the ground. But other than that, you know, it was, you know, very little trouble at all. So, you know, from you know, a football perspective, a really positive day. But there was, you know, from the start, everyone's felt as if this was completely different. You know, we've all said, you know, throughout this cup run, this has got a different feel about it. And, you know, as John Ball says, every man who crossed the white line in black and white put in 9 out of 10 performances. Is exactly what they did to a man that battered the Scousers. And it's it. You're really right, John, there. You know, we were on our game as supporters. You know, obviously there's 32,000 Newcastle, 32,000 Liverpool. You didn't really hear the Liverpool fans at all. They sang their song, you know, before the match. But after that, I think they knew it was one-way traffic. And even just watching it back on TV now and looking at the fans when Chiesa scored, the Liverpool fans were praying more than looking optimistic. I think they knew ultimately that Newcastle were the better team and were going to win it, and it was going to happen one day. Delighted that, you know, I was there to see it. And as I said last night, you know, that really was for those people who've passed away, Joe. There's been many people who've been born and died in that 56-year period, never mind the 70-year period. And it buries that hoodoo, it buries the talk of the gypsy jinx and all of that, you know, the curse that's hanging over the club, all of that's gone now. Newcastle have arrived, they've won their first trophy, and it'll be in the trophy cabinet after the parade next week on Saturday. And you know, ultimately we're in such a great position, Joe. You know, it's I think the only thing I was looking at before the game was Nick Pope. You know, we've all discussed him on here, and I know we discussed him last week. You know, we thought Dubravka might have got back in for the final, but you know, it just proves that, you know, as supporters, we've all got opinions, but Eddie Howe deals with the players on a day-to-day basis, and he got it right with Nick Pope, because for an hour or so, he had absolutely nothing to do. But when he was called upon, Joe, that save that he pulled off was just as important as the 2 goals that were scored.
It was crucial because, I mean, he didn't have much about it, Steve, but what Nick Pope's known for is shot stopping, you know, and his reaction in itself was world class, you know. And it could have been a little bit of a dicey last few 20 minutes or whatever that goal went in. But when we did score just before half time, I actually looked at the Liverpool lot and they were deflated. And that was a brilliant time for once for us to score and go in like that with that momentum, you know. But talking about the players that you're on about and whatever the guy, I forgot his name, but 9 out of 10 performances, definitely. I mean, I can go through them very quickly. Pope's save, like we're just on about there. You're talking, you know, the set pieces by Trippier, you know, for all I don't know if you heard it, but Eddie Howe said they've been practicing them all week and they were absolutely rubbish. But Dan said something after the match where we don't realise he never gets the run and the clear run, or having somebody like, I mean, I don't know what they're doing putting McAllister on him, but I was delighted even after he scored, they still kept him on him. But he got a clear run, and that goal, I mean, yes, it was the first goal, but I'd like to, to dedicate that to Dan Burn as being the match-winning goal, because that just set the precedent for everything that happened in the rest of the game off that. And it was a wonderful, wonderful header. And yes, you got Livramento getting the other side, that was said last week. He's got the pace, but he looked sharp, he looked quick. Him and Harvey Barnes were doing well on that left-hand side. He puts the cross in. Who's there at the back? Jacob Murphy plays his part. Great header done. And the goal machine does what golden boys do. He's just unbelievable. Everybody in the world thinks that finish there is easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'm telling you now, by the way, he made it look so easy because of the quality that he's got. It was brilliant. The two centre-halves didn't give Jota or the other lad a sniff. You've got, Mo Salah, the top player in everybody's eyes in the Premier League. And I believe he had 15 touches in the whole game. So defensively there straight away is fabulous. I've mentioned the midfield. I kind of keep on going on about them because they were just absolutely tremendous. Big Joe, I mean, his attitude, Dan Burn's attitude. Dan Burn, when he goes on an overlap, Steve, and he's screaming from our penalty area into their penalty area, and he's screaming for it, and he doesn't wave his arms when he doesn't get the ball. He puts his head down and sprints his absolute Horlicks off to get back the centre-half to do his job. And that was just... It was just brilliant to see, and that was the spirit of the whole side. And I mentioned Harvey Barnes. I thought he did really well. Jacob Murphy played his part, and when we got him up front, he could have had a hat-trick on a different day. He wasn't offside for the goal. Bruno was, because they said he was in the sight of the goalkeeper. I've seen them given, I've seen them not. But that's the way it is. And when Harvey Barnes got on the edge to cross it back to Isaac, that goal, 1.5 yards the other side of the goalkeeper, and it's a goal. And I don't care how fast he is and how good he is. 1.5 yards, that's in the net, but it went straight at him. The keeper made the save. But Isaac would have been disappointed by that. But what he did was he waited for his chance, and did he dispatch it? Fabulous, man.
It was, yeah. Who was your man of the match? Was it Dan Burn, or did you pick somebody else?
Well, I did pick somebody else, Steve. I picked Big Joe, to tell you the truth. I just thought he was absolutely outstanding. And I mean, everything that he did, he raised his game because for the 60 minutes he's been out for a little spell, and the 60 minutes he played when he played at home, against Brighton, I thought he was all right, but I thought he was back to his best, at the weekend. And, you talk about the captains on the pitch, Bruno's the captain, but there was captains everywhere on the pitch. And I know it's a cliche, but that leadership, that team together there weren't 11 individuals, 9 times out of 10, you'll get 11 individuals in a football team. But when they're doing that like that, they can beat anybody. I really think they can beat anybody. And they've put away the side that they're definitely going to win the Premier League. The streets ahead on the day of anybody that played. I think they've lost 4 games this season, and we're one of them,
Yeah, Kieran Trippier, Paul Patterson says. I mean, that was vintage Trippier, wasn't it?
Brilliant. I mean, everything about him, his leadership, his calmness on the pitch. But not only that, I think what he gives us with his dead ball is brilliant. I mean, I'm not joking. He crosses a great ball, and he's all round. If you like, his mannerisms. It's effective, He's not frightened to have a go at people. He's not frightened to have a pop. He was saying that at one stage, somebody went down. I can't remember who it was. And I think it was Virgil van Dijk, And Trippier was saying, are you joking? Because Van Dijk went down as if he was like a powder puff. Kieran Trippier is 5'5". Virgil van Dijk 6'8" and 3 million. And Trippier has a little tug with him. And he's turned around and said, are you joking, mate? You're like 6'9" monster. you know, and he's having a pop, and he's not shirking, he's not giving an inch, you know, and they were fabulous, totally.
Certainly were. Nice message here from George. He says, I bought a DVD of the 1955 Cup final. I vowed never to watch it until we won a trophy. Tonight's viewing is sorted. Toon, Black and White Army. Yes, it's a very good video, that DVD, that, George. I've watched it many times myself. And that would be great, not to have to look at grainy images of a captain lifting a trophy for Newcastle now. Paul Patterson, he says, I hope any parade or celebrations next week involve two people that were instrumental in the Sunday's success, Amanda Staveley and Mirdad Gadushi. Well, they were there. We saw their social media. They were at the game. But yeah, I think it is that kind of period of reflection now for Newcastle fans when you're looking back at a cup final win. You think about where it started, and you look back to 2021 when the takeover went through, Joe. We're only talking 4 years. Newcastle have now done what Man City did. The first trophy they've lifted is a League Cup, but I don't think anybody should forget what Amanda and Mirdad did. It was their perseverance that led to the takeover going through.
Well, you know them intimately, Steve, and all I've heard is great things off you about them. And yes, I totally agree with everything that's said there, And yeah, we do have to start somewhere, but think about the season that we've had. We just got knocked out of the FA Cup. So we would have been getting, like when I say we've won this League Cup by getting probably the hardest competition. People say, you've got to beat what's in front of you. Yeah, that's right. But you necessarily don't have to beat the top four that's in our division, And now we've got ourselves in such a position where we've won that cup. That's finished now. We'll have this celebration, because it is really important to celebrate it as well, and to take all that good feeling and all that atmosphere that we've got and get as high up as what we can in the Premier League, meaning that with our game in hand, we can go top four, which is Champions League. And that puts us into the elite of being in the top four sides in this country. And that's been a brilliant start for this season, because you've got to just forget about what happens last season. You can't do anything about that. It's like, what's happening in the present, and now we're challenging for a Champions League spot. We've won a cup and you just get knocked out the FA Cup. That's not a bloody bad season, that, mate, is it?
No, definitely not. And I mean, my prediction at the start of the season was Newcastle to win the FA Cup and Newcastle to finish third. We've got 10 cup finals now, which we'll talk about the second half of the show to try and get into that, Tim says, is it me? And however, no idea what's happening in the news now, endlessly watching YouTube Toon clips of Sunday and Twitter threads. I think most people are doing that, to be honest. Please for Longstaff and all of the garbage that he's had off fans was horrible, and his penalty put us through. He's one of our own, a squad player, but gives 100%.
Just about Sean, by the way, he scored the penalty when you were there at Nottingham Forest to win the tie for us. Yeah,
he played a big part. I mean, I was gutted he didn't get on the pitch. It looked like he was coming on, and then there was a change of plan by Eddie. He went 5 at the back because obviously, Liverpool had put 4 on, and 4 attackers on. So it was a wise move, but I don't think he would have begrudged it. He played his part.
He was the first one to congratulate everybody on the pitch, mate.
As did Anthony Gordon as well, who rightfully got praised. The only person who wasn't there on the day was Lewis Hall, who was still in hospital recuperating, but they did do a Zoom call with him just to make him feel part of it. Botman was there, of course, his operation's been done. Jeff, no update on Mal. If you watch the show on a Thursday, me and Gibbo always give an update on him, and there's no change, and he won't be doing any appearances on the podcast until he has his operation. But he's okay, but still in a lot of pain and just waiting for a back operation, really, to get himself sorted out. Could Liverpool be the only champions where their own fans think 90% of their team isn't very good, and a protest about the owners? Yeah, there's a lot of protests.
Shite, Steve.
Yeah,
shite. He said shite.
I don't like to say those kind of things, Joe. I'll leave that to people who like to get into trouble. Miggy does get a medal.
Black and white.
Miggy does get a medal, Paul. Yeah, 100%. No, I haven't spoken to Keith Patterson, Stephen. I haven't, no. But to be honest, I haven't spoken to many people because I cannot speak. A couple of other comments. I thought Harvey Barnes did a good job. I mean, look, everybody did. But I've got to be honest. Harvey Barnes again was another one of those we're looking at Joe going, oh God, is he going to turn up? But again, he did, didn't he? And I mean, he just did his job, Joe. He did his job,
and he did it really well, and that was what I'm saying. Like in different parts of the pitch, everybody was linking up and doing it. So you've got the left-hand side taken care of because Livramento was bright. He looked quick. He looked sharp when he's attacking. I mean, I'm not being funny. That Conser got a battering off Liverpool's right fullback, Trent Alexander's position. And I mean, if Alexander had played, would he have been further forward? Because the difference being, we would have still had that left-hand side in place, and I think we would have been all right because everybody's saying, oh, Liverpool weren't the same without him. If you can remember in January, the 50-faced, what there are, I mean, they've got more faces than Big Ben, to be honest. They were saying, oh, he's got his contract at Real Madrid sorted out. Can't wait to get rid of him. He's only been there since he was about 4. So that shows you what the fickleness is like in football. But I just think on that day we would have beat any Liverpool side. The way that we come out with the attitude. And Eddie, I think it was a stroke of genius taking the team outside of London, just on the outskirts where it was a different preparation as well. So they weren't hearing the hustle and the bustle and the noise and things like that. Because I've been in that hotel, which is next to Wembley, and you can hear absolutely everything that goes on. And the other thing as well, from Eddie's staff, we didn't give enough from the tea lady to them at the top. You know what I mean? Everybody should be getting a well done and also praise because they are our club. It's Newcastle United at the end of the day, and we're a worldwide club. I mean, we've even got mates that come over from America, from Minnesota. We've got Tom and Jimbo, and the thing is, they travel 4,000 miles, right, to watch the game in a Newcastle pub. I mean, if that isn't what you from the heart, you know what I mean? That makes me feel great because that shows how much passion they are. Great guys, and just they didn't have a ticket, but they come to watch it and get the atmosphere. And I hope that we can stay to see the parade that's happening, but that means I have to stop for another week.
Okay, we are halfway through the show. My voice is holding out. We'll have an ad break. Back after this.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. A big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can find them at their website, mrvickies.co.uk, email info@mrvickies.co.uk, or telephone 01768 210 102. A big thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. 2 crew, driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels and no interchanges. All excursions included. Find them at their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email them at beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. You can find them at their website, media-arts.co.uk. If you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can go to Sports Social Podcast Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and your other podcast providers. If you want to help support the channel, hit the thumb up, which is the like button. Click share to share to your other social medias. Click join to join the channel. And click the subscribe button. We've also got links in our description for buy us a coffee and to be a Patreon member. Some events coming up. An afternoon with Sir Les Ferdinand, 6th of April, 12 till 4. Tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. No Covers takes place at the Cluny, Lilac Lane, Ryder and the Chris Norris Band. Tickets from theclooney.com or by telephoning 0191 230 4474. An Evening with Steve Howie and Steve Watson, hosted by Joe Allen, takes place at the Tyneside Irish Centre on the 27th of June. Tickets for that are from newcastlelegends.com. An Evening with Peter Beardsley and Chris Waddle takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House on the 23rd of January 2026. Box office 0844 246 1000 or website tynetheatreandoperahouse.tv. An Evening with Bad Manners takes place on Friday the 30th of January 2026 and tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. And we have copies of The Entertainers 1992 to 1997, Kevin Keegan's Legacy, available from newcastlelegends.com.
And it is welcome to Rob for Rock and Rob and his music review. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. My voice is in good form. How are you both?
Very
good,
mate.
Rob, mate.
Very
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll just quickly go over the cup final for me. Just watched it in my house. It was the emotions. I was numb. Phoning Rachel after it and when they scored, and I just kept doing this, tapping my head all the time, just saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. So I went for a walk. I went for a walk for about 2 hours to feel real. It was just numb. It was just numb. I don't have the words to put it. You know, it's like everybody though. It's new emotions. So yeah, unbelievable. Like I say, just and you know what I loved about it as well. There was no flukes. There was no penalties. It was just downright hard fought for and dug in and just turned up. That was it. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, right. Your setup's starting to take off behind you there, Rob. I've noticed.
Yeah, that's some of my my Bauhaus. It's a theme for today.
Okay. Well, here's the album you won't be reviewing. The Difficult Turn album by the Fish Brothers.
That is an album. It's an American punk band. And it's a bit Elvis on there, I think, if you you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can see the reference.
Yeah.
I might give that a listen at some point. It looks interesting.
So today was suggested by Marcus. He asked for Love Hysteria, but I've obviously not done that. I went for Pete Murphy's album called Deep. This is 1989. Yeah, said today when I was listening to it, the goosebumps. Anyway, if you don't know who Pete Murphy is, he's the lead singer of gothic rock band Bauhaus. First goth single ever released would have been Bela Lugosi's Dead, 1979. And he also, if you remember, the cassette advert by Maxell Tapes, he was the face that launched 1,000 tapes. And yes, I still do have a 5-pack, still sealed, of Maxell cassettes. There you go, bit nostalgia. And he was also in Twilight. He was in that as well, so he has done a bit of acting. But absolutely outstanding album. It opens with Deep Ocean, Vast Sea. It's just pure art. It's just pounding bass, solid flat 4 drumming, just heavy bass drum on it. Really slick guitar riff. You know, again, the beautiful voice of Pete Murphy is brilliant. It's got like a nice hard-edged chorus on it. It's perfect opener for this album. It's just right in there. Not fast. It's just class. Then you've got track 2 is called Shy. This is like more of an up-tempo. It's got more of a dance beat around this one. It's got slap funk bass playing. Very early In Excess-ish. Just like the guitar style In Excess do or had. Really good song. When I was listening to it, I thought, I've not heard this song in a long time, but there's even like a little rap part on it, which I found unusual. Yeah, that's him there on Twilight. Then you've got track 3 called Crystal Wrist. It's more of a trance song. It's very hypnotic. He doesn't oversing. He's just like on the level all the time. Knows his boundaries. I think that's what it is. It's just pure depth. again, this could have been a single. I like the words on this, the lyrics. That your words, your fiction, your crooked hands, that's him all right. I just love things like that. You got track 4. Goosebumps for me, this song did. It's called Marlene Dietrich's favourite poem. Beautiful tearjerker. I think there's a beauty that's in this song. It's just mesmerising. It's just incredible, profound, very emotional. It's just, you could just sink into your city and just warm air blowing over you, and it's just perfect for me. It's a beautiful song. You've got Seven Veils. This is more of an oriental sort of theme on this one. It's very much like China Girl by Iggy Pop, which obviously Iggy Pop gave to David Bowie to release. Again, the moon and the sun are partners at night. Brilliant. It's very uplifting, sort of tiger drums, really good percussion. Again, top song. Then you've got The Line Between the Devil's Teeth. This is more dramatic. It's a wee bit more of a different range for Pete's vocals in this one. Again, it's, to me, there's more emotion of this one going in the early Bauhaus sort of material. It's like hardcore goth, very, very punchy. It's, again, 10 out of 10. And you've got the single Cuts You Up. This was played a lot. It was a big hit in the States, I know that. Again, the video is really, really good if you get a chance to watch it. Cuts You Up by Pete Murphy. If you are here, you were here. And again, the words are brilliant. I mean, I was obsessed with this at the time. I still have the variations of it. It's brilliant. Again, it's perfection again. It's sung beautifully. The mix on this song especially is perfect. There's a nice violin part, and I think it's like clarinet sort of thing, which again I wasn't expecting, but it's just brilliant. The last song was called Roll Call. It's like to end the song on the album on 7 minutes. It's the drum beat is exact to the note of Back to Life. I think it was by Soul to Soul. Sort of like got a Middle Eastern theme about it. Again, Pete's delivery on it, again, it's bang on. It's just sublime. Again, warmth, it's dark, it's experimental, really nice drumming, nice like rack tom fills in it. Again, reminding me of Budgie from the Banshees. But that, for me, is getting a 9.5 out of 10. It was absolutely brilliant to listen to it again on vinyl. It was just absolutely stunning. But anyone, I recommend track 4, Marlene Dietrich's favourite poem. Stunning song. And next week, I had a request for Nazareth, so I'll be doing that next week for, my recommendation.
All right, mate. I've been listening to my albums this week. Robbie Robertson. Wasn't too much of a fan of this, I've got to be perfectly honest. I did like Somewhere Down the Crazy River, which of course is a very commercial track. Fallen Angel, the first track, was quite good. Sweet Fire of Love was okay as well, but certainly not one which I would listen to again. This one, Prince and the Revolution, Parade, very good. I never used to like Prince back in the day. This one, again, I found it a really easy listen. Kiss is obviously on this one. Do You Lie and New Position were pretty good songs on that. I would listen to that again. I probably will listen to a bit more of Prince, if I'm perfectly honest. My mate Dave recommended I listen to Paul McCartney's album, Memory Almost Full. He's a big Paul McCartney fan. Got to be honest, this is really good. Vintage Clothes is a very good song. Only Mama Knows and House of Wax were excellent on that one as well. But again, Paul McCartney's got such he's got a hell of a back catalogue that you're always going to be able to find at least something that you enjoy in his music. Billy Bragg, Bloke on Bloke. Listen to a bit of Billy Bragg before. This is quite a short album, but it definitely shows a different side to him. He does a cover version of the Smiths song Never Had No One Ever, which is great. Sugar Daddy on there, which is like a mood swing remix, which is really good. And Rules No Reason is a solid Billy Bragg track. But that's a nice short album, something a little bit different. The band, called The Band. I really enjoyed this one, and Robbie Robertson, of course, was part of The Band. So, in a way, my second Robbie Robertson album of the week. Rag Mama Rag, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, and Whispering Pines were the songs that I liked on there. And this probably surprised a lot of people because obviously I'm a Jam fan, and people would have thought I would have listened to 66 by Paul Weller, but after 22 Dreams, I stopped buying his albums and stopped listening to them because I just didn't enjoy what I was hearing. It's okay, this one, but it's a bit more of a return to the old Weller. You know, never really going to capture the days of Stanley Road, I don't think, but Flying Fish, My Best Friend's Coat, and In Full Flight were my favourite ones on that album. I may well revisit some of the other Weller stuff at some point, because to be honest, like, you know, he is one of my favourite artists of all time, so maybe I should give it a listen. Lastly, this one by Madness. Listen to most Madness albums, always something on a Madness album for you. Can't Touch Us Now is the album. The title track's very good. Mr. Apples is good, and I Believe. It's a collection of classics from the Nutty Boys, and I think that album's a bit of a grower, and I think I'll probably enjoy listening to that again. But yeah, good stuff. Sid will be back next week on Talk of the Toon, so looking forward to reuniting you two, Rob.
Yeah, and like I say, remember last week, if we win the cup, we'll all sing the Blaine Races, but we'll sort something out for that. I mean, even get the boys to release a single or something, or, you know, do a new song for it. Surely there's going to be a new song for the Gallagher or whatever, you know, a new chant. Somebody will make something up.
Yeah, Pump It Up was the one at Wembley. It's a dance track. Pump It Up. Newcastle's won the cup. That was the song that was probably the newest of the weekend. But great stuff. Good to have you on, Rob. Look forward to seeing you next week, mate. Take care.
Okay, guys. Cheers, Joe.
Cheers, Rob. Bye, mate.
Great to see him. Great stuff.
Couple of the album covers, Steve.
Yeah, go on.
The Bauhaus one, you know, with the lassie in that position. I remember in my 20s, I went over her last once like that. She got in that position, broke her neck, bombed us out, never looked back. And the other one was Prince, because I went with one lass, and she turned around to us. She said, "I'm going to make you a meal fit for a prince." I thought, champion. Prince was the name of the dog. Anyway.
Joe, how long do you think it'll be before we can win the Premier League? Tom reckons 2 years, and that would be lovely because that would be 100. That would be the 100th year since we'd won the top flight.
I didn't care if it's odd numbers, even numbers, or whatever numbers. But you know what? As long as we're in there swinging, and as long as we're in there with a chance, that'll do for me. Because I tell you what, now you've got to build on this season, which will come at the end of the season. We've got to make the squad a lot bigger. And if we get a squad that can rival other clubs that's in the Premier League, because you look at our squad, you know, and we've done absolutely miracles with the squad that we've got. And the job that Eddie's done is absolutely monumental. So we've got to get a bigger squad. And yes, I can see we're winning in the future. Why not?
I like this from John. He says, music will probably never take you to the highs that football can. However, it won't take you to the lows that football can, unless you stumble into a Celine Dion gig by mistake.
Oh, dear me.
John says, great honesty from Trippier, saying he was fuming with Bruno doing a Cruyff turn in the middle of the park, which led to the Liverpool goal and giving them hope. Yeah, that was, I saw that was on the CBS coverage that I watched. I mean, yeah, you know, it didn't matter at the end of the day, but you know, there was a couple of instances from Bruno, wasn't there, in the match where, you know, he gave the ball away. Just he was trying to showboat at the wrong time, and he got caught out. And cheers, he went through and scored and gave away a couple of daft fouls. But you know, I'm not gonna hammer him for that. He led from example. By all accounts, his team talk prior to the match, Joe, was outstanding, where he basically told everybody that, you know, we'll go out there as players, we'll come back in as legends. And I think more than anybody, Bruno is probably, you know, he's matured as a player because of the captaincy. We've criticised at times this season. We've said maybe he's not the right person, but I think what we saw at the weekend is not only is, you know, Trippier still the boss, really, in all intents and purposes. The collectively, there's Dan Burn, Bruno, and Trippier. They captain that team. They captain it together. And you know, when they're all on form like they were at the weekend, we're unbeatable.
Big Joe's your minder, and he just knocks everybody out. You know, that gets in the way. But the other thing on Bruno as well, you know, you've got to understand. Players like him, he's the most fouled player in the Premier League. And he's not the most fouled player by 2 or 3 fouls. He's up there by 20 fouls. So he's accepting the ball in areas. And yes, I understand there's losing it in the wrong areas. But when you get that responsibility and you have that bravery that Lee Clark talks about, you know, what Peter Beardsley used to do by accepting the ball in them areas, sometimes you've got to do a little bit of magic. And if it doesn't come off, yes, it is costly. We understand that. But you have to outweigh that by how many times that, you know, he gets the foul by taking the ball under control and enticing people in to giving them a smack or a tickle or a hit, you know. But there is the right and wrong areas. We nitpick, but I could have said, you know, about Jacob Murphy not having one of his better games. But you know what? I would have thought the fact that he made the header to make the cross for Isaac to score that goal was worth the admission fee alone, you know. So, you know, you can criticise little bits and bobs, but on the whole, we've got to be totally 100% satisfied with the fact that we've come away with silverware, you know, because that was the thing for me going into this. And I've said it I remember saying it to you on umpteen occasions. I think this is our year to win the League Cup. And the fact that I played a couple of my clubs on the way, I was thinking, God, this is going to be it'll be my luck that we're going to get beat off somebody that I played for, who, you know, and fortunately, everybody that come in away, we just knocked them by the side, you know, and it was a brilliant cup run, and they're very fitting that a team like Newcastle United should win it for the fact that we won it on merit.
Couple of questions here, pretty similar topics, so we'll go with both of them. Paul says, a sideline from Sunday is we are guaranteed Europe. We're in the Conference League, Joe. But I hope Howe will challenge the players by saying now, which Europe do you want to play in? You've got 10 games to sort it out. And Rob Maltman, our designer, said, question for you both, would you rather win the Europa League or qualify for the Champions League? I know what the club will want. And I guess the fans will want, yeah, exactly, money, but fans will want to have the best possible opportunity, won't they? They'll want European football, but they'll want Champions League football because it is exciting. And dare I say it, in the format now that the Champions League in, it's slightly easier to play than it was previously. You know what I mean? Last time it was a nightmare, group stages, etc. With it being one big knockout league kind of thing, it has seemed to have worked better. But I guess on the flip side of that, Joe, for me, in real terms, Newcastle winning the Champions League would be the biggest of all upsets. Is it not better to be in a Europa League and go on and win it? You know what I mean? Because you're capable of winning the Europa League. Newcastle United, with the right acquisitions in the summer and with a fair crack of the whip next year with injuries and suspensions, then Newcastle could easily be in and amongst it, you know, and win a European trophy like they did with the Fairs Cup.
I hear everything you're saying, you know, and I'm just tingling now and smiling because you know what? Having this conversation about what European Cup we want to win just makes me feel brilliant, you know, because that is just unbelievable to be having a conversation thinking about what one we are going to win. Because you know what? That's the confidence that we're taking in now, the feel-good factor, and that bloody monkey off your back now by getting that trophy just opens up everything because anything is possible. So I think what we do is, you know, we win as many games because that's what we want, because that's what we owe to the fans that go every single week. That's what we owe to the fans worldwide to win every game that we play in. And let's see what we end up in. And let's have that problem. If it comes to that problem, it's a lovely problem to have, isn't it? Because sometimes, you know, I understand what you're saying, Steve, as well about the Europa. But you look at teams like Chelsea, who probably haven't even started their best 11 yet, in the latter stages of this competition, and there could be a type of a Chelsea in that pool, if you like, for the Europa League. So we don't know what clubs are going to be here, there, and anywhere until the end of the season. But it's a lovely little problem to talk about, though, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is, 100%. And another question from Paul. He says, sorry to add to that. Where do we think the likes of Isaac, Bruno will now stand with regards to Sunday, Europe, etc.? Will they still want Champions League to stay? I mean, my answer to that, Paul, is nobody's actually said they need Champions League to stay. It's a newspaper story. Have you heard Alexander Isak or Bruno or Gordon say that? Just look back at the video of the lads celebrating on the pitch on Sunday. Listen to what Alexander Isak said in his interview after the game. All of these players want to stay. None of them will be leaving in the summer. If anybody believes that these players are going to leave in the summer, I'd think again, surely there will be players go in the summer. And there will be players who will go with best wishes, and they'll be going with a Carabao Cup medal in their pocket after coming to Newcastle, knowing that they made the right choice because they ended up as a winning on the winning side. But I genuinely don't think those players will go if there's no Champions League. I think if Newcastle ended up being in that position, then maybe he's not qualifying for the Champions League or any European football for the next 2 or 3 years. I just genuinely don't see, I don't see any of those players going. If they do go, they'll go because Newcastle United want them to go, and because it's part of the PSR planning, which is what happened to happen with Minty and Anderson Joe.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I'm just reading that question there, Steve. Sorry, so my train of thought's gone. But the difference about the lads and what European, and if they're going to leave, and if they're surely they're tied to contracts, they're tied to contracts. Everybody's got 2 to 3 years, I think, left on the contract. Some of the big name players that we've got. So I didn't see them going anywhere. And I think that, you kind of turn around and say, oh, we want to play because we're guaranteed Champions League if they're going to Arsenal in Isak's case, because let's face it, Arsenal have had a shocking season by their standards, you know what I mean? But the difference being that we've won the trophy now and we've proven that we're a top side. So why would they want to go to a side that we battered in the semi-final? Why would they want to go to a side like Liverpool who, they might have won the league, but are they guaranteed to get a game at Liverpool? And why would they want to go to anywhere else but Newcastle when they've seen the passion, the absolute, the exuberance, right? The emotion that I promise you that footballers will never, ever get at any other football club.
Yeah, the European twists and turns as well, quite interesting. We'll probably end up discussing this on the Amigos later in the week, but Ben Jacobs put out a great tweet this week. He says the Premier League outline a scenario where the 11th place team could actually qualify for Europe this season. Newcastle qualified for the Champions League in 5th, with UEFA awarding an extra place for English club performances in Europe this season. Brighton and Hove Albion qualified for the Europa League by finishing 6th. Bournemouth could finish 7th and qualify for the Europa League by winning the FA Cup. Chelsea could finish 8th and qualify for the Europa League by winning the Conference League. Aston Villa could finish 9th and qualify for the Champions League by winning that competition this season. And Manchester United or Spurs could finish 10th and qualify for the Champions League by winning the Europa League. I mean, it's absolute...
Sunderland they'll get into Europe because the last time they got into Europe, they hired the oars out of the side, they fired the cannons and pulled the sails down.
Yes, I did get reminded of. Get reminded of a glory that they had. Christopher Nicholas sent us this today. He says, "Papa John's trophy. You'll never sing that." He put.
Brilliant.
Good lad. He's a good lad, Chris. He's a good lad. Just one more thing, really, before we're finished, Joe, and it's just obviously we're going to have a parade. Save the date, 29th of March. Still to be confirmed. Lots of rumours flying around. One of which is that Newcastle could be heading to a big wide open space in Newcastle to erect a stage and have thousands of people come and see it. So if that's the case, happy days. But we will wait until the club make an official announcement and obviously plug it on here. But confirmation that Eddie's been put forward for Freeman of the City, Joe, and I just obviously, I fully agree with that, fully endorse it. I would say now, and we've talked about this a few times on this show, all of us have talked about it on any show, about where Eddie stands as far as managers are concerned in our history. And I think up until the weekend, before the trophy win, I had him. I still had him in that kind of top 4, top 5 with, you know, Joe Harvey at the top. Sir Bobby Robson, Kevin Keegan, Eddie Howe were all jostling it out for various positions. Got to say as well, Doug Livingston has to be mentioned. He was the manager in 1955. So, you know, Doug Livingston may not have had a long, illustrious career as Newcastle United manager, but he still won a trophy. So he has to be considered. You could go even further back in history, of course, back into the days of, you know, the league winning side in 1927. And of course, we won a few cups around the way. But if we're going to stick with the ones that we all were alive and the ones we all know, I would say Eddie's now second behind Joe Harvey. Would you agree?
Well, the thing is, if you're going on what silverware, obviously I can see your point and what have you, you know. But I think every different manager that you'd mentioned there, Steve, had their own little bit of quality, you know. I mean, for me, you could give Eddie the Prime Minister's job because, let's face it, in America they give the president's job to some Trump geezer. I mean, so you might as well give Eddie the Prime Minister's job if they can give that to Trump. But at the end of the day, he'll be judged obviously on that silverware and what he's done. But if you have a look at English managers that's at present in the whole of the Football League, you know, you have a look at who was candidate to be an English manager that would go on and possibly manage the England side. The biggest job is what they say. It's not money-wise, but the prestige job of being the national team's manager, you know, and getting England a chance to win the World Cup. You know, Eddie would be, I would have said, the top tout for that job, for that position, because there's nobody to touch him in the Premier League and elsewhere. I don't see many up-and-coming English coaches knocking down trees, you know, and Eddie's up there. But when I like to say about, I love the fact that Joe Harvey gets a mention because, you know, he was very, very special man, Joe Harvey. But the charisma of Kevin Keegan, when Kevin Keegan come to the club, Steve, he didn't just transform the Northeast, the Newcastle United side. He transformed the whole Northeast. You know, everybody got transformed by Kevin Keegan. He was the Pied Piper, you know, absolutely wonderful. And he changed everybody at Newcastle as a player. Not only that, but as a manager. You know, he brought Alan Shearer to the club, man. He brought back Peter Beardsley to the club, who he played with. You know, this is like euphoric. And then you mentioned Sir Bobby and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, you know. And we should just treasure the managers that we've had, you know, and treasure, you know, what they did for the club at the time. But at this point, it's Eddie's time. So you know what? Eddie's number one because he's number one at the minute. And let's just get behind him now and get him up there to win some more trophies and make him number one. So we can say, everybody says, oh, Eddie Howe's the best manager. Why? Because he won everything.
Yeah, Tim, you are right. The players will be blown away by the amount of people who turn up. I think that's why they're looking at a bigger space. I mean, I think most of us who were there, maybe back in the 90s when they did it outside the Civic Centre, it was absolute chaos. And it has to be done properly and it has to be a big enough space because they're doing it on a Saturday afternoon. So be very surprised if it isn't the Town Moor because that really is the biggest wide open space they can do it. You do it at the stadium.
Where's Robbie Williams doing his concert, Steve?
The Town Moor, mate, yeah.
So that's going to hold, what, 40, 50,000?
It's more, I would imagine, for standing purposes. I think that's the place that you've got to do it for health and safety more than anything else. Accessibility, you know, you can park up that way, but you can also walk into that place from the town. You know, you could do it at the ground, but you're going to upset people because, you know, there's not enough space in the ground for people to get into. You know, they did it in the past. FA Cup celebrations were at the ground. But yeah, I think it'll be bigger and it will dwarf the signing of Shearer, Paul. Yeah, I mean, that was a work day. Everybody was at work and people were skiving off and kids were skiving off school to go to that. But it'll be a great day, whatever happens. And Eddie for Freeman, Freeman of the City, I think that's a great gesture. Dan Burns getting freedom of his neck of the woods as well. And it's fantastic. But the clock has beaten us. Joe will be back on his own show next week. Sid is making a return after a little bit of compassionate leave. But Joe, great to be able to talk to you about a trophy in the cabinet and looking forward to seeing you next week, pal.
And you, Stephen. And one thing I will say to every one of the supporters, you know, just cherish it, because you know what? You flipping deserve it.